Hi, it's Fionna Gossling with Roy LePage and an update as to what happened in Oakville real estate in August 2025. So, as you can see from this graph, our average sale price is actually down below what it was in 2021 for the first time since 2021. Um, and that's something interesting to watch, but also keep in mind that we are only 8 months of data into that stat. So let's see how the month or the rest of the year plays out. But I do find it interesting. This last month was the first time it dropped below 2024, and now we are um, below where we were in 2021. So something to watch there. This graph I find to be very, very useful because what it's showing is your average and median sale price month over month. And so there's always variations and deviations in those prices month over month. And taken in isolation, it's a bit misleading to say, well, the market's down, however many $100,000, because oftentimes it's the absence of some larger sales or a lot of less expensive sales happening, and that can be kind of skewing those averages a little bit or medians. But when you look at it on a graph like this, you can see the trajectory of real estate from 2019 through to today, and it looks pretty boring, which is actually what you want real estate to be. When we look at what happened in August, we had 211 sales, which is actually pretty good for summer months. I mean, July, I was really impressed with. June, July, August, that's kind of where we were all of last year in that 250. We would have been ecstatic for that. So 211 in 2024 was a great year. And I think what we're seeing is that for a long time, there's been buyer um, trepidation. And I think a big part of that, one, was interest rates and what was going to happen with that and the affordability piece. And as interest rates have now come down to a pretty reasonable level, um, I would have expected to see more activity because there have been, and the number of transactions have been quite low for a long time. And we haven't really seen that. And I think part of it was the uncertainty around Trump and what's going on in the world and trade and all of the rest of it. But I think what we're starting to see is people who have been sitting on the sidelines saying enough is enough and it's time, enough waiting. We're going to buy and sell in the same market. So it's all going to come out in the wash. And also some people seeing an opportunity in the affordability piece and still buying or selling. Um, the average sale price was 1.415, which was actually up from last month, which is great to see, down from June, but with 212 sales, again, that number could be reflecting a lack of some of the larger sales. I think the most expensive sale we had in August was around 5.2 something, and so that's while a lot of money is going to skew things a little bit. What is probably something more important to watch is this median sale price. So you can see that the median sale price in August was $1,170,000, and it's taking a little bit longer days on market to sell. Now, when we compare this month to last month, you can see that we had more sales, which is terrific. That's kind of speaking to that buyer's confidence coming back. And that could be interest rate driven and affordability driven, or it could be just, it's time. And then the other stuff is kind of, there's more product on the market, but when you really dive into that, you can see a lot of the new build condos and new construction that was happening north of Highway 5 is now coming online, and that is being sold. So there's a lot of product like that on the market. There isn't as much product on the market in well-established neighborhoods, and things in well-established neighborhoods that are priced properly, prepared properly, and presented to the market properly are still selling. So the average sale price you can see was 1,415 here. And when you break that down a little bit, we have a ton of detached homes on the market. This is unusual for us to see 6 months of inventory in detached homes. That's a buyer's market. The average sale price is 1.9. So while that average sale price is up from last month in detached homes, it's still about $100,000 less than we usually see it. So there's opportunity right now for people who are trying to get into that move up market. There's some opportunity there, and then townhouses, we had 62 sales, 4.9 months of inventory. That's also a seller's market. It's kind of creeping out of a balanced market into a buyer's market. I'm sorry. And the average sale price there was just over $1 million, which is still low for what we typically see in that category. And then the condo sales, although 7.1 months of inventory is a lot, it wasn't so long ago we had 10 months of inventory there, so I'll take that as a win. Average sale price is still a little bit lower than we typically see. But this condo segment really, if that's an area that you're interested in, it really, really deserves a lot more analysis because it's not taking into account luxury condos, and it is not taking into account all of the new build, one bedroom and den, kind of 500 square foot product that's out there. And those really deserve to be separated out. And they do tell two very separate stories there. So when you look at those detached numbers, jumping back to detached, you can see it's all fairly flat here. We've had this average sale price around that, in June it was 1.970 and now we're at 1.9. July was lower, but it's all kind of around that between 1.9 and 2 million mark. And then same thing with townhouses. So townhouses were typically around that 1.1, a little higher. And they've come down to around this, like between a million and $1.1 million. So they're all kind of depending on the product out there and what's included in that. We're not having a ton of transactions with only 62. There's not that many transactions actually happening. And then the condo market, again, you can see prices were down in July, but that's just the absence of some of the larger sales. And they've kind of jumped back up here. So if you had any specific questions as to what's been going on in Oakville real estate, the news headlines make me crazy because they're not looking at it or analyzing what's actually happening. They're more sensational. So any specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to talk about any of this in more detail, and I will check back in next month.